Welcome back, dear viewers, and you're still on the Nile cruise and our topic, the historical palaces as the culture hubs, bridging the heritage and the contemporary creativity. The transformation of the historic palaces into culture centers bridges the gap between ancient architecture legacy and the modern art. And to discuss this more, we are most delighted to be joined by Dr. Rana Ehab, the expert in the heritage. Hello and welcome to you, Dr. Rana.
Hello, and always pleasure to be in Nile Cruises.
Thank you so much. As we know all that in ancient times, the people often reuse the stones and the old monuments for the new buildings. How does the ancient habit compare to how we turn historic palaces into a culture center?
Actually, if we look from the point of the heritage we are using and we still using until now, so we have one of the most known temples in all the world when we are talking, for example, about the Luxor temple. When we talk about Luxor temple, the first thing come in our minds, ancient Egyptians, the position, the kings wearing their uniform of the kingship thing, the crowns, the hieroglyphs. But suddenly, when you are walking through the temple, you will find the mosque, an Islamic mosque inside the temple. That's how we reuse the old stones and the old culture, and we're using culture by culture. In Egypt, it's very, very normal to pray in a mosque and you found the cross and the one of the column, like what we have in the mosque of Nasser and Salah al-Din Citadel in Cairo. So that's how Egyptians love their history, love their culture, love their heritage since thousands of years ago. So if we are comparing, for example, the mosque Abu al-Hajjaj and Luxor and Luxor temple, at least we have 3,000 years. But 3,000 years, all the people knows how this place is very, very important to our culture and our heritage. When you're going to pray inside the mosque, you will find the labels and you will find the stones inscribed by hieroglyphs, because this is the original stone from the temple. So that's how Egyptians love their heritage. When the people, even they are coming to visit Egypt or staying in Egypt for a long time, they cannot understand this easily. But we as Egyptian, it's our heritage, so it's very, very normal to us.
Yes, also as we know all that the ancient materials like the limestone and old paints are very sensitive. What are the main challenges when trying to install the modern air conditioning without damaging these historic walls?
Actually, when we are talking about the preservation or the restoration of the historic palaces in general, because most of the historic palaces that we have here in Egypt, if it's not used for something, no one know about anything about it. So when we are using and preserve it in the right way and in the perfect way, this is the most important thing. So if we are talking about the palaces, do you think before hundreds of years when those palaces are built, how they give the air, from where they give the air? So the air condition here, the building itself is designed to have a natural air without air conditions. So it's not a challenge for making a centerpiece or a central air condition in all the places, but at least we can deal with it by using those movable air conditions, or the place itself, when you just open the windows and open the doors, it's giving you the normal air, and this is perfect. And the challenges come with us more when we have a damaged wall or a damaged place in those places and we use it for something. The first thing comes in the people's minds that we need to, because we are using this place or we are misused for this palace or for this cultural place, so that's cause we need to dismiss all the things that we are, all the activities that we do here, and just to close the place. This is not the perfect solution for it. We need to restore the conservators we have in Cairo University, Ain Shams University, all of these. We have a special department for the architecture restoration. So they know well how to do all of these things. What the schools Egypt going on, especially in the schools of the restoration itself. So we are adapt to all of these things for the challenges that we have in this area or in this place.
Well, also, Dr. Rana, how does putting modern art inside a building filled with ancient designs change the way people experience both art and the history at the same time?
So actually, if we just count normally how many palaces we have here in Egypt and we use it for a different thing or something else, at least they would be 30. So just like some historical palaces transferred to be an hotels, some historical palaces transferred to be a museums, some historical palaces transferred to be an schools, some of them art complex. So all of these things are very important. If we just say, okay, this place is very important, very unique, and we close it, no one will go inside, and no one will feel the experience of even the royal family they have. When we are talking about this area, especially, we are talking about 19th century. So it's around 250 years from now. So all of these built during the royal family in Egypt, during the Muhammad Ali dynasty family, and all of them one of the most amazing palaces in whole Egypt, actually.
Well, Dr. Rana, also, how does putting the modern art inside a building filled with an ancient designs change the way people experience both art and the history in the same time?
So actually, for example, when we have an example for amazing palace, it's Abdeen Palace. So inside Abdeen Palace, all the people know, and it's the first place when we are transferred the ruling from the citadel of Salah ad-Din to Abdeen Palace, even the area itself, the gardens, the reason why we have an Abdeen Palace, it was built in the time of Khedive Ismail. So yes, people just impressing with the architecture there and the building and the paintings, but you never expect that when you are enter the Abdeen Palace, you will find a museum for all the royal family gifts that they have, their accessories, their things to use. So all of these things makes people feel that they are back to the time 200 years.
Yes.
So that's what people love to visit all of these places, not just only to see the walls, even there is no story inside. So the story inside the Abdeen Palace is the museums inside.
Yes.
So with the weapons, with the boxes, with the things they are using since that time, with the royal family, all the royal family, even the gifts that it was given to the presidents of Egypt. So all of these things is really amazing experience. So for sure, some people can read before they are going to the place they want to visit and talk about it, but others need to make the experience inside the place itself. So that's why it's important to connect between,
to be a remarkable experience.
Exactly. So that's why we said all the time we should have something inside the palace to make people visit and learn from it.
Yes, and as you said that these things are dating back to like 2,000 years back ago, what can the builders today learn from the ancient engineering methods when they need to strengthen an old palace for a big public event?
So actually, as we mentioned, most of the palaces now transferred to be an hotels. So we have around 6 hotels around Egypt. They are all transferred to hotels. When we are transferring it to hotels, for sure that we have events inside, big royal weddings inside, and how they are learning from the architecture. Egyptians have their own touch in everything.
Yes.
Like when we are talking, for example, about the phrase of Cobra that we have, you will find we have all of these coronation, all the buildings. So, and when you see it for the first time, you will feel that you are looking to the ancient Egyptian style, but it is not. So it's taking from that time. When we're talking about the size, when we are entering the rooms or the ballrooms inside, it's really huge, and the people start to think, okay, maybe Egypt, they are that big because we have all of these big things, like for a pyramids example, they are thought that we are aliens or something. But when we're going inside all of these palaces, we will find that it's also the same way of the bigger thing. So this is the soul that are taken from the culture itself to the Egyptian, to all the palaces, all the modern architecture that we have here.
Yes, and as you kindly mentioned that most of the museums has been turned into palaces, but also also historically some of the royal figures like the Princess Samiha Camille explicitly left their palaces to become the libraries of art spaces. How does this tradition of the royal gift-giving shape of Egypt's culture map today?
So Princess Samiha Kamel, she is the daughter of Sultan Hussein Kamel, and this is showing us how they are in that time thinking about giving people something good. So yes, this was a palace and it transferred now to be a greater library of Cairo. How many people visit this library? They are Egyptians, they are foreigners coming to this library in the middle of Zamalek to enjoy not only the experience of reading but also about the experience of the palace itself. So you are not in the ordinary one, you are really in a historic.
Yes. Dr. Rana, also can you give an example of an ancient or historic site that successfully serves as a modern culture purpose without losing its historical value?
So actually we have, when we are talking about historical thing, that means it was recorded in the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. When it's recorded in the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, that means everything should have been done inside this place. It should be followed by their instructions.
Yes.
So this is the number one. So even it's transferred to hotel, to library, to anything, no one can change anything. So for example, also we have one of the most amazing things I really like to talk about it when we have the Ismail Muhammad Pasha Palace. It was also in Zamalek Island, and we have it's now transferred to be the higher institution for music education. So this is something amazing. Imagine you are talking about the music, living the vibes of the music, and you are actually inside the palace. So for sure this is inspired you a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is one of the good things.
How can these centers create an art programs or workshops to people that actually match the specific history or the style of the building?
So this is very, very important, because when we are talking about the style of the building and all of these, all the time, or the new programs or the new vision that we have today for the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities is sharing the local community with the archaeological sites they are living around. For example, we have one of the most amazing things also, Amir Taz, Prince Taz Palace, and it was from the 19th century. In that time, it's from the Mamluks time. In the 19th century, it's transferred to be a school for girls by Muhammad Mubarak. So this is one of the things that really touched my heart. But because after the earthquake that happened in 1992, so they are moved the students, because also it's a palace and the pressure that happened and the cracks and the wall was fall down. So the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities restore the place and try to make the same old shape of the original palace. And now we are doing a workshop for the kids around the area and the children around the area. So that's how we are giving the local community actually a place inside all of these things.
Yes. And as you mentioned also that we have to use these things. Why is better for a society to or actively use of its historical places for the daily arts instead of looking them as a quiet static museum?
So actually, from my opinion, when we have something activity inside the palace, it's better than said okay.
Spirit.
Exactly, it's better than said okay. It's a historical place. So we have actually non-countable number of the historical and archaeological places in Egypt. But for example, when we transfer a palace for a hotel, you know that will help the raising the occupancy in Egypt, using the numbers of the rooms, and the people will stay inside the hotel. they will never said we are staying in a hotel. We are actually staying in a palace in Egypt.
Yes.
So that help also in the tourism sector for many reasons. And kind of the experience even of the guest, and the kind of reserve this place, because when you are using this daily, you will note what this place is missing.
Yes.
So when you know what it was missed from there, you will do your actually people, you will talk with the ministry, the people will come to fix this place quickly because it needs to be in a better shape or
Yes.
a better place.
As we know all, Dr. Rana, that all palaces were built for the privacy of the kings. How does that old layout fit with the goal of the making of a modern culture center open, welcoming to everyone, instead of being a private place for someone else?
Yes. So actually, as I mentioned, those will never be in that time it was private palaces for all the royal family. Now we didn't have a royal family here in Egypt, or we didn't have the things that related to the royal family. But when we said it's not a private sector, they are the doing the management inside this place. The private of all the palaces or any historical thing that we are talking here in Egypt in general, it's related to the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities.
Well, Dr. Rana, a short break and we'll be right back, dear viewers, to continue our discussion with Dr. Rana Ehab. So stay tuned on the Nile News.
تاريخ ساحر مليء بالأسرار، نقوش عابرة للأزمنة والحدود، حضارة ملء السمع والأبصار، سيرة ملوك وملكات عظام شغلتهم الأبدية فامتلكوا مفتاح الحياة، لنقف أمامهم مبهورين بما عرفوه منذ آلاف السنين، ونحاول اليوم فك رموزه في كل حجر بنوه، في كل حرف دونوه، على الجدران والبرديات والتوابيت، علوم قديمة قدم التاريخ وسر من أسرار الحروب. والآن أصبح للعظمة عنوان في مصر. 100,000 حكاية عن العقيدة، العلم، الحب، الفن، عن الإنسانية، آثار تعرض لأول مرة منذ اكتشافها، تكشف المزيد من الأسرار لتحكي قصتهم كاملة. المتحف المصري الكبير أكبر متحف في العالم لعرض آثار الحضارة المصرية القديمة، تعود فيه أعظم حضارة.
Dr. Rana, from an Egyptologist view or point of view, how can digital tools like the 3D scanning or interactive screens help save the palace history while hosting the modern art events in the same time?
So this is when we are talking about the modernization that we are doing here in Egypt, making the technology and everything, not only on these historical palaces we are talking about, it's also about the museums that we have. So everything now in the digital screens with the interactive and the 3D, this is helping. For example, if we have a palace contains of 3 floors, the 3rd floor is not in a good condition even after we did the restoration. So we should have a limited number to visit all of these places, limited number. So 3D scanning or the screens and everything helping the visitor experience to be better than. And we have this for this I think an example I love to share all the time. We have the Muhammad Ali Palace in the citadel of Salah ad-Din, which is now the biggest military museum that we have in Egypt and in the Middle East. Not all the rooms it's opened all the time, so we have a 3D screens, and we have interactive screens that you can visit all of the places even it's closed. So that's why we love all of these things to be engaged with the history that we have today, or the museum, or even all the places that we are doing here in Egypt. And we are following what happened in the new world now. We are in the 5th generation today, so that's why we should have all of these things aside.
Well, Dr. Rana, also with your background in the preservation, what strict rules are needed to make sure that the large crowds of the visitors do not wear down or ruin any fragile historic rooms inside the palace or inside a museum?
So actually this is it will be something very, very normal when we have an instruction for any place we are visiting. Even we are entering the cinema, they have instructions for it. So the instructions, and we know all the visitors here and all the foreigners, all the tourists that they are coming to Egypt, they are knowing well how they are, what they are inside. So we want to confirm they are really confirmed and knowing what is the most important thing to use, how we can handle with the monuments or the archaeological sites. And for sure the management of the place should have everything in a good way. It's not good all the time to make everything behind the showcase. Sometimes we need to be near to our heritage. The heritage is for all the human worldwide. So that's what this is, just the thin thing between the archaeology, or between the tourists, or between the monuments itself, and all of the visitors here know how is this valuable to Egypt.
Yes, absolutely. How does the repairing and reusing of an old palace help the environment and save the resources compared to building a completely new art center from scratch?
So that's here a very lovely point, because in Egypt we are now developing more new cities, and for the next generations that we have. So it's important to preserve the history, even we will build something new or not. So it will for sure build a new building that's kind of affect the environment and so on, but where is the people will live? If we are talking about, for example, after 20 years, after 30 years, where people will live? Those all the historical places are still historic. So maybe after 100 years we have another historical building we will talk about, but now we need to preserve and also build. So there are in the same way, preserve is very important to help in the experience, to help in the tourism sector, to help in many other things. And then the other way, we need to build a new buildings, because this is nowadays this is the modernization that we have.
Yes.
All the world do this, but we did it in the green zone. We are talking about the green hotels, we are talking about the green. We have all the international conferences that we have, even one of them late in Egypt, COP27. So all of these things teach us how we do this in a good way, not to harmful the environment.
Yes, absolutely. Looking ahead, and finally, how can the culture managers tell if a converted palace is truly successful in improving the intellectual life of the local community?
So actually the local community is a very important part to preserve anything. So even I'm not talking only about the historical hotels that we have here in Egypt, I'm talking about any historical site, any archaeological site. So the local community, they are the first gardeners who are the first place to save the place if they are saw any danger. And we have many accidents before in Egypt. We will found the local community, they are surrounded all of these places before someone enter this place, or before someone want to harm this place. This is Egypt, and that's how Egyptians love their countries, and that's how we are preserving our heritage. It's not because justice giving us a good income and hard currency, it's because it's our land, and we know how to deal with our land.
Dr. Rana Ehab, the conversation of the historic places into a creative centers proves really that the architecture preservation work the best when it serves a modern purpose. Thank you so much for being on the Nile cruise and for your insightful information.
Thank you for you, and thanks. I really enjoyed this one.
Thank you so much.